we often get into conversations before the show. I'm like, no, because you're like me, man. I hate repeating myself.
I'll save it.
Maybe it's having kids that cause you to do that. It's like, especially with something you're passionate about, and you're putting all this energy to it, and then 15 minutes later you ask the same question, and it's just like, oh.
Guys, so wait,
that's me. That's me though.
Was that May of 20 or April, or was it even June? It was the heart of the pandemic.
What was the question?
The last refresh I was on, that was like in the heart of the pandemic. May.
Yeah, it was that summer
of 20.
Man, I can't believe it's been that long.
It's and just don't you love this business?
I thought we had.
No,
I thought we
you two hosted a show together.
Yeah,
when I couldn't.
Yeah. You did with Cars.com. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, right. I was going to say, I know you'd been on at least once after that.
It was, but my memory goes back to that one call in the heart of COVID.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That was fun.
Yeah,
we're gonna touch on that in a minute.
We should, because have we reinvented ourselves like 5 times since then? It's crazy.
I'm excited to hear about it.
By the way, we have been tracking inventory, new car inventory loads.
Okay.
For all of our dealers at Prickentech, and for a long time, half to more than half of our dealers have had less than 35 new cars in stock at any time. Wow. And it seems to have peaked out in August.
Okay.
But right now, this is the best we've seen in nearly 2 years, where it's less than a quarter have less than 35 new cars in stock now.
Wow.
So inventory levels are starting to creep back up. Yep.
That is going to bring a whole new host of issues.
You'll have to remake yourself again.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest one I keep hearing is that the sales staff is incapable of selling. They've learned how to take order. They don't know how to reset back to true selling.
All of us. I mean, we forget. You come out with a good program, it always takes some time.
Forgot to tell you we're going to cut.
That hit me by surprise.
You were talking. I didn't want to cut you off. But I think we should continue that conversation. So yeah, if new car inventory supplies are coming back up, and there's proof all around, then the biggest concern that I'm hearing, at least, is that the dealer principals and general managers are realizing that their sales team, managers and salespeople included, have the skills that they had for selling cars are very dull right now because they've been order taking so long. So
no doubt, for sure, and not just salespeople, even desk managers.
Yeah.
Too easy for too long. It really it takes time. You need time with the inventory. You need time with the customers. It's very tough to just snap your finger and change your way. We'll figure it out. We always do. We've reinvented ourselves so many times, but without a doubt, it takes time. And so if inventories are peak right now, and usually this is like the busiest time of year for us, I don't know. I hope we get our stuff together by Black Friday. Selling season. Yeah, it's gonna be a major change for everyone.
Yeah, if you're a consultant, or a training consultant, sales training, you ought to be advertising to the industry right now. Use that message, because damn well your people are not in the position with hard sales right now. It's like you said, they've been order takers for way too long.
Oh, that's
Well,
Who was that? Is that Christine? I
yeah,
haven't seen her in forever. My goodness.
yeah. Who would have thought with all this downtime, people would not be focusing on training and conditioning their sales schools? What industry is this?
I'll
Well,
tell you.
Matthew, I think most people know who you are because you've been on the show 2 or 3 times. But for people that don't know, just give us a quick review on
Yeah,
who
sure.
you
Hi.
are and what you've been up to.
Yeah, I'm Matthew Haiken. I'm the dealer principal of the Prestige Collection Auto Group. We have 4 dealerships in northern New Jersey, right outside of New York City. I have 2 Volvo dealerships. I have a Lincoln dealership, and I am one of the first and newest Polestar dealers in the United States.
Mm.
And for those that don't know, Polestar is a Swedish EV brand. We are not Fantasyland like Rivian or a Lucid. We are a real brand building real cars and selling them every day.
Ooh, we got to know what Fantasyland means now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
what's that? And I'll also say I'm pretty sure they make an SUV, right?
We have an SUV. It's coming out
Yeah.
a little bit less than a year. It launched about a month ago.
Okay, so it wasn't that. I guess it was a Rivian that I saw a couple weeks ago sitting in a parking lot. It was the
Yeah,
truck or SUV. I believe it was truck actually.
that would be a
Yeah,
Rivian. And
I wasn't overly impressed.
you know, EVs in general are impressive when you drive them. Um, Again, it's fun for a car guy like myself who, just geeks out over a 911 turbo to make fun of
Who
EV.
doesn't?
Exactly. But when you get behind the wheel of an EV and just feel how fast they are, um, you're just hooked right away. And that I think that has a big part of the Tesla effect. No one ever says I love Tesla because of how luxurious the interior is. They love it because of how fast it
Mm.
is, the range, and the cool technology inside. And those are the selling points of an EV, without a doubt. Driving.
I have a horrible confession.
Tell us.
I work at a Benz dealership. We have several EVs, and I have yet to drive one.
We, we,
No, for no particular reason other than I just haven't taken the time to do it. But I have not. I've sat in one, but I have not hit the gas pedal yet.
do it. Do it. I mean, I get it. And
No,
I
I
think,
will.
you know, um, yeah, you just got to try it. It's awesome. It's awesome. But again, I think what you're saying is very common, especially when,
Not for someone that works at a dealership.
no, but what I'm saying is like, most of these, most brands, right? They have one EV in their lineup.
True.
Which means that they usually have like one EV specialist at their store, and it's probably used to be our internet manager. We used to have our internet manager, but now we have the EV manager, and he's the only one knows how to drive it and plug it in, and he's got all
Yeah.
these customers, where there's definitely a differentiation and an advantage
Mm.
when it's a store that's brand dedicated 100% EV. I think it's a benefit for the customers and for the dealership. And
Hmm.
that's just my experience. I represent some brands that have 1 or 2 EVs, and then I have one brand that's all EV. And it's definitely an easier sell when everything's brand dedicated EV. There's a sigh of relief.
Why? Is it just because then you don't have the comparison going back and forth? You can stay sort of focused on the EV features.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Everybody's focused on EV. Everybody, it's not that one person. Take your a busy Mercedes-Benz store. They're selling GLEs all day long and GLSs, and it's big volume. And then, you've got that 1 or 2 EV, the volume's not there. unfortunately, people focus on where the volume is and where the margins are, and it just makes it harder. It makes it hard, and
Mhm.
those customers feel like they're not a priority. Where when everyone's just you know brand dedicated, I think there's an advantage, and that's why and if you look at the strategy of some of these big OEMs, and just take for example like General Motors from Ford. I just think that Ford focusing all on Model E, uh, I think they'll be more successful than like a GM that has one EV for each brand in all their brands. I, and that this same concept as in a dealership. Like when you have a dealership that has a used car manager, like he's focused on used cars, you're going to have a very profitable and strong used car department. If you have a dealership where
Mhm.
the new car sales managers share the responsibility of used car department, you know,
Yeah, different mindset.
that's what exactly.
Hmm. Are the
Yeah.
margins any different with Polestar? We've heard
So
about margin changes for certain brands for
the
the EVs, but
the margins are very healthy, and again, there's not a lot of us, so the throughput is awesome. But like just yesterday, you read in the headlines some automotive executives saying, we plan on bridging the gap between the margin of an ICE car and an EV car. And without a doubt, that means they're going to take the margin from the dealer to try to make up for that discrepancy. So I'm margins uh, from an EV perspective are going to be on attack from every OEM. I mean, they are going to just come right after the dealer. What's interesting is they are going to use word tracks like you're going to save on central stock, you're going to save on advertising costs, you're going to save on less variable selling expenses. And I see that as fantasy land. Like
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. I don't see even going through what we've just gone through, and we've all learned over the last year how to order cars, how to sell into our pipeline. Once that inventory comes up, I think consumers and dealers are going to go right back to selling cars from stock. So I don't see that happening.
it's
Yeah, I don't
trying to
disagree.
teach an old dog new tricks, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And the ironic thing about this, right, is they're going to talk about we EVs have smaller margins because of the central stock, because of the reduced selling expenses. But Tesla, who we all look up to, and every automotive executive's there, they all have Tesla envy. They want their stock to perform like Tesla. They are out there duplicating what we have done and been successful with for generations. They're leaving malls,
Mhm.
they're buying dealerships, they're stocking them up with cars as soon as inventory comes back. They're going from these Apple type geniuses to our salespeople. They're going after our technicians, guns blazing.
Mhm.
There's already a major tech shortage. So I just love this business, don't you? Because like one day we're selling online, we're trying to be Tesla, and then Tesla is just copy and pasting what we've done. So I mean, it's amazing to be a car dealer.
That is funny.
S- Give me like, so what's it like driving a Polestar? I'm curious. And then I think the big question is, how are you selling them?
So again, like, what's it like to drive an EV or a Polestar? They're
Yeah,
amazing to drive.
Polestar.
So fast, so much fun. And Polestar is it's amazing because it's so much differentiated from Tesla. Like you're in a Tesla, it's bare bones, it's tech, it's
Yeah.
range. You feel like you're in an actual curated car. It's beautifully
Okay.
designed inside and out. The payment screen is easy to use, but it's a driver's car. and Polestar has a sister brand, Volvo. And Volvo, is known for being the safest vehicle on the planet. So where a lot of times these EV cars get knocked for skipping on safety or having some sort of like autonomous drive feature that's not proven, you've got a beautifully designed car that performs amazing, that is also incorporating the safest features on the planet.
Do they have a fire containment system? Safety purposes.
Yeah. And they have a system where you can't play your video games while you're cruising or watch a movie while you're cruising.
Yeah, I would say the same thing with the Benz EVs. It's when you still know you're in a Mercedes Benz. Obviously the styling is more progressive, more extreme, more minimized, with buttons and all that good stuff. And of course, they've adapted the big ass screen right there in the middle, which, I guess I'm old school. I still want some of that tactile feel with some of my buttons, especially, my volume and stuff like that. I don't want to be moving around on a freaking screen to turn up my music. Whereas Mercedes so far, it seems they're still holding on to some of those, that tactile feel with different, button engagements.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sort of curious to see where that big screen's going to go. Is that going to continue on? Would that eventually be outdated? And then with the Benz, I mean, your whole dash is a freaking screen. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's like from door to door in some of the models, it's just one big screen. Plus, you got the freaking iPad sitting in the middle.
I got a headache from the Benz. There's just so much going on.
It's a lot, dude.
Exactly. Where Polestar is Scandinavian simplicity, very minimalist. I prefer that. I just get overwhelmed, and I think sometimes it's a safety issue when you have so many different buttons and knobs. But I don't see the screens going away, because that's the goal, right? They want to monetize that stuff. And True. That's what they're all focused on now, is how do we monetize all these screens? We're going to get these drivers in the seat, and they have screens, and we could monetize it from traditional video streaming to horsepower to you name it. That is what they're focused on, is let's monetize these screens.
You pay $14 a month for that button.
Exactly.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple episodes ago. Yeah, all the different variables, that they could incorporate to monetize that area.
Well, absolutely. Let me let's take a shift back to the dealership for a minute. And Ryan Everson, I'll get your question in there. Also, I wanted to shout out to Chris Leslie, because all he wants to do is shout at the car and have it do stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's what. But for those of y'all who don't know Matthew, and he goes by Matthew, by the way, not Matt. And I make that mistake all the time. And as soon as Matt comes,
so do I.
Damn it!
Oh shit, Matt.
All good.
But Matthew's been quite the innovator, and we've shown some of what he's come up with really in the last 2 years, because he's really shined in the last 2 years, facing the lockdowns of New Jersey and things like that, and has come out on top. So we've shown him on DealerRefresh doing these things, and one of my favorite phone calls from Matthew, and we've known each other for over a decade now, but it came not long after the lockdowns, and he called me and said, "Hey man, I think I figured this out." I was like, "What are you talking about?" "Yeah man, I can sell cars without the dealership now." I said, "Oh yeah?" He said, "Yeah, and I don't want to go back." Okay. Everyone else is scrambling. I need to get a digital retailing solution. I need something as fast as I can, because I'm shut down. I can't do anything. And Matthew's like, "I can do this. I don't need the store. I don't want to open it up. I just give me 3 people, give me an office center, a computer, and boom, we're in business." And he ran me through all the stuff he was doing. It was brilliant. And then, um, I guess a few months later, Matthew calls and says, "Hey, man, um, guess what I can do with leasing now?" And starts telling me about what he's doing through Volvo Financial and how he can take somebody who might have a $3,000 down payment and turn it into this insanely reduced payment on an XC90 or something like that, and just what you were doing with that, how you figured it out when you ran me through it was incredible. And then how you took that and then applied it to used cars to come up with a new buying strategy where you were buying cars in Florida to bring up to New Jersey, but you were putting them on your website as soon as you bid on them. Like, so confident about stuff. And, and so we've got somebody here who just knows how to push the envelope in the right ways. And glad you're here to talk us through again how we can get through this online selling, and maybe even answer Ryan Everson's question about Polestar dealers. Are they real tier 3 stores? So
yeah, absolutely. But thank you guys. And my whole career, I had one of my mentors, and we'd always say, you were born in the wrong time, son. I feel bad for you. You love the business, but you're never going to see the times we had after 9/11, or the times, in the early 90s. I would wake up at 11, watch Regis and Kathy Lee, and we'd make 100,000 a day. You're never going to see those times. And that's a legit story I had pounded in my head. And I think what we lived through, starting with COVID through, I don't even know what do we call it? Carmageddon, right? Is that people call it Carmageddon, the last just 2 years. I think everyone would agree is probably the greatest times that we've ever seen in our business. And we hope to see it again, in my lifetime. But now we're coming out of this, and we got a whole new a whole new environment as far as selling cars totally online. Are they direct sales? Are they indirect sales? Tesla envy, the transition to EV, and a tough market that we weren't used to. And I just think it's going to have an effect on our entire business. And the stuff that keeps me up at night is really the effect it's going to have on the people that we have working in the dealerships, and what their role becomes, how they transition to a normalized compensation plan in the market, product specialist versus commission. It's this all affects our people, and yeah, it's very interesting times ahead.
Yep, it's gonna be some Rolexes and boats on the market soon, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Not to make light of it, but so Matthew, how does a Polestar dealership work, and can you explain the unique setup you have for yours?
Yeah, absolutely. So a Polestar is the spaces are owned by dealers. It's not a direct sale. It's not controlled by the manufacturer. There are dealers that own the Polestar outlets, which is what we all want. We love the franchise system. We believe it benefits the customer and it works. So launching a new EV brand, yeah, it's a franchise. It's controlled by the dealers. What makes Polestar unique is that we are an online business approach. So what does that mean? That means that there is no deviation between tier 1 and tier 3. Okay, when someone's on my Polestar Space page, they are on the tier 1 Polestar site, and that's where we transact. That's where we go over numbers. That's where we talk about trade-ins. It's all an online approach, and obviously, yes. A lot of customers are different. So I'm sleeping in the middle of the night. I wake up the next morning and I'm high-fiving myself because I got 5 orders from customers that took the entire journey by themselves online from A to Z. All I have to do is call them up, congratulate them, confirm their information, deliver their car. So I get incremental sales like that. And then I have some customers that don't want to do the process online, and we need to hold their hand. And we would do that for them. You know, they'd come into our space, we'd pull up the app on our phone or on the computer, and we'd enter their information in for them and do everything online because that's the approach they want. And we have customers that totally geek out, that know everything about the brand, that live on all these Reddit groups and Facebook groups. And then we have customers that don't think that we look like Tesla and come in and, you know, say, hey, my Model 3 is not working. I want to get rid of it. And we can convert them. So there's a lot of new stuff, and I think cutting edge stuff, but at the same time, cars, it's a relationship business, and we're building a relationship with customers, and we're trying to educate them on the benefits of a real EV Tesla-like competitor.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Is your store
Sounds like a challenge?
Yeah, there's a lot of different challenges, especially from people. So my store is in a mall. It's in an amazing mall called the Mall at Short Hills in Short Hills, New Jersey. Ultra luxury mall. But
malls still exist?
You know what? Luxury malls. There's no in between. Like there's the malls that make it, and then the malls that don't. This is one of the best malls in the United States. But again, that's not their blanket approach to everything. There's destination stores, there's malls, there's downtown locations on High Street. So there's a combination, and I don't think Polestar is cutting edge when it comes to that. You know, I have a downtown Lincoln Vitrine boutique. Lincoln's done a lot with this, and you hear a lot of manufacturers talking about, you know, having destination locations and then typical high street locations. So that's our setup. And then from a people standpoint, it's definitely been interesting because we have traditional car people, and then we have these people that traditionally car dealers have dreamed about getting, and they think to themselves, well, why can't I get all these people that are working at the Apple store? Why can't I get all these people that are, you know, going to Restoration Hardware or, you know, a Peloton when they were rocking? So we get these type of people too that are just they flock. They think it's sexy to work for an EV dealership. And then putting all these personalities together is something that we've definitely learned a lot over the last year and a half through this journey.
Can you share an example?
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of these people that were like literally outwardly bragging when I got Apple people, employees of Apple, to come work at my space. It was like the proudest moment for me. I'm like, I can't believe it. These people worked at Apple and they want to sell cars. I'm amazing. But then, you know, like it came to troubleshooting small little issues, and you know, these people, it blew their mind. You know, what do you mean they don't call customer service if their temp expired? What do you mean they have a check engine light? They don't just call customer service and phone it in to some call center. What do you mean I have to continue this relationship after the sale, wish them a happy birthday, ask them how their kids are doing? These were muscles that these people just didn't exercise. And you know, I realized early on, like, that is key to selling cars, is building relationships, and not.
But will it be in the future? Will it be in the future? Because, you know, you're speaking to what I would say probably typically a younger generation.
Yeah.
And they're blown away by that. They're like, What do you mean I have to do all this? What do you mean this is important?
They are.
Is there a mentality there that they're not expecting that? So as they get older, they still won't expect that. Therefore, they won't. They're not expecting to receive that. So therefore, they're, in their mind, I don't need to do these things. So I just wonder if there may be some type of culture shift there.
But at the end of the day, either the quality of all our products would have to be perfect. And we all know that in the pandemic with the supply shortage, something happened to quality because every brand out there, we thought we could outsource to, this tech company or this. I mean, and it's not the quality of the cars. Cars are great, but the software that we have in these cars is presenting us with challenges that are so hard. So unless that goes away, and I personally, I think that's fantasy. I don't think it's ever going to go away. I mean, cars are just so complex. If the cars were perfect, maybe we could get away with it. But then again, we live and breathe by just renewing our customer base. Like we don't want to just sell them a car. We want to be like Apple, and we want to sell them a car every year. Every time we get a new release, we want a reason to call them up and get them into a new car. And we need used cars to sell. I don't think we're going to take all these used cars and just crush them because they're EVs. I mean, we want to sell them and find a solution for them. So, I don't have the answer, but right now we need hand-holding. We need relationships. We need people that have never experienced these cars. We need it now more than ever. Down the line, I don't know, but now, yes, we need it now more than ever.
I'm going to call Chris Leslie and wish him a happy birthday.
For sure.
Every year, moving forward.
And this, it's a lot of it's automated in CRM, but I have customers that are like, "You're always the first person to wish me a happy birthday." I love that.
I never did the happy birthday thing. I would do the vehicle anniversary. It gave me more things to talk about, but not the happy birthday. But I get it.
Yeah. I'll block you.
I got 4 phone numbers, bro. You won't know.
Yep. We know how to call through the reception.
Yeah. So are you hearing about more cars being sold under this model versus the traditional model? What's the temperature around that?
Without a doubt, all these OEMs, this is what they want. This is what they dream of. They want their cars sold 100% online. They want it to be negotiation free, and they want to cut margins because they think that central stock eliminates floor plan. You get incremental sales like that is 100% over and over everywhere you go. Every OEM is talking about.
Have they forgotten that dealers also sell used cars?
Yeah, and I'm sure they want you to be sold the same way.
Are they going to centralize the used cars at the factory or the holding zone?
You know what? They would if it moved their stock price, but the weirdest thing, like it doesn't do anything for them. It does it for all the third party used disruptors, right? That's all they have. And you would think that, hey, the third parties, and I've said this in the past, right? They buy our rejects. We all have to buy our lease portfolio, and the 20% that we don't buy, it goes to the third parties. So they're out there buying our rejects, certifying our rejects, the cars with the Carfax, the cars that we pass on. And they have all this value. I would love the OEMs to try something like this, but they can't. They don't want it. They don't have the manpower. It's just, I don't think it's a priority for them.
You made me realize something I hadn't thought of, and I should have known this. We've seen it so many times before in my career, but the brands where you've got 1 or 2 EVs that are kind of outliers, not getting the attention. Obviously, the margins are less. So, but I've been hearing from I think Dodge is starting to release even an ICE model that has got to be an online customer order.
Mm-hmm.
And They are trying to do this, and the point of that, at least I heard, was because so many dealers were tricking the ordering system to get more cars over the last 2 years, and this is their way of getting around that. So the customer selects the dealership that they will take delivery from when they order the car on Dodge.com or whatever it might be.
I have to chime in. So you think the dealers are tricking the system? These customers are so sophisticated. They know these systems better than we could ever dream of. Better the dealers and the manufacturer. I'm a Reddit junkie, right? So I love Reddit.
Oh God, that's scary.
So if you take for that example, if you looked at the Reddit subgroup for those cars, I guarantee you these Reddit users would have all the inventory. They'd know where all the cars are. They'd tell you the state that had the lowest dock fee. That was the easiest way to get the car online. They slice it and dice it. And that's something that just, the dealers will figure it out. We'll sell cars, but I don't think any of the manufacturers are prepared for that. And they think it's simple to just do online sales. You're going to see customers, and I see it already, that'll place a deposit at a half a dozen stores, because the deposit's $500, it's $1,000. If it's not a significant deposit, they don't care, and they'll go with the store that gets them the car the fastest. So they confirm all the information at all these stores, and they'll go for the car that gets it the fastest. You'll see these customers. I mean, they know if the cars are coming from boats overseas. They track the boats. They know what boat it's on. They know when it's left the port. They don't even have to call us. And quite frankly, we don't even know where the cars are. We didn't even know it was at the port.
How are they getting this information?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I think it's awesome. I think it's going to help us get stronger. But I think the people at the factory need to be prepared for this.
Where those Reddit crowd got this practice from? It's from computer graphics cards. When those were in short supply from all the crypto mining, and you had all these gamers who were trying to get a graphics card for their computer. And
that's true.
I'm on Reddit. It's the only social media I really use anymore, just because I can control what I see for the most part. But yeah, there were a lot of these channels where they were coming up with, okay, Best Buy is going to have these cards on Saturday, or GameStop's going to have this Sony PlayStation on Sunday. They're only going to get 5, so be there early. And they knew this stuff, but they had built programs to track these products. You can do it through. There's one through. There's one of those. There's two like Telegram or Signal. Those instant chat apps. Yeah, there's some of those where you can get in a group on there for a specific product.
Telegram.
And yeah, I think it's Telegram. And it'll tell you okay, this just popped up. You can watch this feed of where this product is showing up in what store and what the price is, and those programs are all out there.
I'm just curious, how do they know that? How are they tracking it? Are they aggregating data from somewhere? Do they have access? Do they have some type of backdoor access that maybe they're not supposed to have, or they're just making educated calculations around it?
I think.
Come on, Alex, you need to know more. I have questions.
Cars, cars coming from Europe, and everyone tracks this stuff. I think, whether it's a Porsche or a car coming over from China. I mean, I think if you secure a car, you get a VIN. I think the VINs are public information on the bill of ladings for these ships. So I think they check the ships, they put the VIN in, they see the VINs on that boat, and then they search the rest of the VINs that are coming over on the boat through the marine traffic. I think it's like marinetraffic.org or something.
I guess the OEM couldn't the OEM sort of shut that down if they wanted to?
Why would they want to?
Well, you said it could disrupt, in the future, just it's
Well, I mean, it's
such, I
such
don't
a
want to say it's an advantage to the consumer. It's nothing wrong with the consumer having the advantage, but knowing where particular vehicles might be at certain dealerships. Maybe they've got a deposit at 3 other dealerships, but now they get on there and they see where it's going to be. I don't know. I don't know. My wheels are
I
turning. I'm
think
still thinking my way through
listen,
this.
from my point of view, I mean, the customer wins when they buy from their local dealership. I mean, they
Agreed,
want
and that's what I'm
to.
saying. Yeah,
So, I mean, for someone to get a car from California when they're going to be servicing in New Jersey, you don't want that. You want them to be, well, that's why you have us,
that's what I'm saying.
Uh,
Yeah, but the consumer doesn't. Whenever when they're in vehicle buying mode, 9 times out of 10, a lot of times they don't give a shit about that.
yeah, yeah, you're right.
They don't care. Okay, I'm going to buy my car here because I'm going to get it serviced here. No, that's
Yeah,
not how the average consumer thinks.
yeah.
It's more
They
about
want
where
it.
can I get my car? Where can I get it the
how
cheapest?
fast can I
Yeah,
get?
of course. How fast can I get it? Yeah, I'm going to take it to my local dealership for service. But they don't think that way. Again, especially whenever they're in car buying mode, people become sort of scary when they get in car buying mode.
You're 100% right. 100% right.
So I'm just thinking, does something like that, does that potentially actually work? The consumer thinks they're doing something good for themselves, but it's actually working against them. And, how much could that disrupt the local dealership and their ability to sell to the local customer? And could the manufacturer, if that information and data is out there readily available, um, could they hide it? Could they lock it down and prevent that stuff from happening? Obviously, it's not something of importance right now, but what will it be in
No, but
5 years?
again, like, yeah, it's not even on the radar. They're just saying, "Oh, we want a seamless online offline transaction. We want negotiation free. We want everything online."
Mhm.
And again, like that's why I bring this stuff up because we're kind of like the guinea pigs right now and we're experiencing it. And I think people should talk about it because then we'll find out, what's where to go from here.
Do you think we'll go negotiation free on new cars? And if so, what's the timeline that you're thinking?
So, again, there's state laws and there's franchise laws around this.
Mhm.
Um, so, but yeah, without a doubt, for the EV process, um, the manufacturer will say two things. They will say you could price your cars for whatever you want to price them at, but at the same time, they'll be listing cars that are only available for sale online through their stock, which will essentially be negotiation free. Without a doubt, they want to go there. They want to go there. That's going to happen from new cars.
So, with a
Okay.
lower margin on EVs versus the ICE vehicles, we get back to a normalized inventory level again, especially on the ICEs. We're going to have negotiation on those vehicles that are sitting on dealer lots. So, would it stand to reason that the lower margin EVs might actually bring bigger profits if they're negotiation free?
I think it comes down to like throughput, and that's why you hear like all these headlines about the manufacturers, offering buyouts, trying to get rid of dealers, trying to make a big push by the end of the year. Um, because I think with everything going online, the margins will come down and they're going to need major throughput. And if you're not doing the volume, I don't know how you make up for that loss of margin. Cars on the ground, I don't know. Maybe they could potentially go for a bigger margin because they're available now versus waiting. If the supply chain issues are still going to go on, but who knows what happens? Like 2 years down the line. Um, I'm not sure.
Yeah, the future is definitely iffy at the moment, right?
It's listen. It was iffy a year ago, 2 years ago. Like it, again. That's why we have these conversations and share the information because we don't know what the next year is going to bring. But at the end of the day, we always figure out and we have fun doing it.
Speaking of that, what do you see 2023 looking like right now?
I think it's going to be tough. And I think it's going to be tough because um, we don't we don't turn on a dime, right? So we just came out of Fantasyland, record breaking, last 2 years, unbelievable. Things are going to get tough again. Um, a lot of it has to do with used car values coming down. I mean, the reason why the manufacturers had all these price increases and didn't have to put incentives on cars is because we were using a lot of that equity in trade-ins to subvent the leases ourselves, and we were still making money because the values of cars just kept going up, up, and up. So I think with the loss of the used car value, the loss of equity, um, it's really hard to reverse everything that we've done. The manufacturers don't want to have price decreases. I mean, how many price increases have they had? They don't want to do that. And we don't want to go back to giving away cars. But as the supply comes up, we're going to have to. And then again, salespeople don't want to sell cars for nothing. Sales managers don't want to sell cars for nothing. But we're going to have to move cars. So it is going to be, I think, a really tough year, a really challenging year. We're all going to have to, figure out, do you want to take this journey and go back to sort of how we used to sell cars? And if not, we're going to have to get the right teams in place that can move these cars for us.
Mm-hmm.
And are you seeing, with the rising interest rates right now, are you seeing customers making different decisions?
Absolutely. I mean, I've never seen so much outside financing. I've never seen people come in,
Really?
not finance with the dealers, come in with checks made out, credit union checks. And then again, we had all these people that that didn't want to take, a $200 to $400 payment bump because of the programs. So they were all banking on buying their lease returns. And I talk a lot about leasing because my markets are very heavily leasing markets, and I'm very concerned how lease penetrations have dropped, because 3 years from now we're going to need that portfolio, and it's just dried up. But so we had all these customers that were buying their leases and sitting by the sidelines, and they were buying them because at the time they're like, I'm going to buy it because I have so much equity. So what happens to these customers now where the equity's dried up in their lease return? Their payments are still higher than what they're paying now. How do they sit on the sidelines? So that's really concerning.
Yeah, we've got the same concern here. Yeah, we see a big dry up coming up.
Yeah.
What are you doing with, of course, if you follow, what is it, the World Economic Forum saying that, you will own nothing and be happy. I gotta wonder where leasing falls into that, or if it's included.
Man,
Have you toyed around with any new leasing ideas? How are you getting your leases up?
So again, we survive on leasing. Leasing is our used car factory, and leasing is our loyalty factor for all our brands.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't move that needle by myself. I need all parties involved. And I hope every manufacturer knows that, leasing is their future. So it's really nice to have big fat margins. I love them. The factory loves them. Our salespeople love them. But I'd rather normalize my margins a little bit if I could guarantee a future, and have a customer coming back and not just sell them one car, but sell them 4 cars over a period of 10 years. I don't want to sell one car. I want to sell 4 cars, and then I want to get a trade in, and then I want to sell a trade in, and then I want to get a used car. I mean, that's the cycle that we live off of. And that's, if you look at it, that's one very, very scary metric, is what's happened to leasing.
So if you're having a conversation with any of your brands, what would you ask them for in leasing going into 2023? Because they have been out of that game for the most part for the last year and a half.
So for me, it'd be very simple. I want leasing, and I want the shortest term possible. I see the next 2 years really being like a bridge year. And if you look at what's going on, and I sell luxury brands, so mass brands are a little bit different, but in the luxury world, there's a major EV shift, 2 years from now. So I'm looking for a short-term lease, a 24-month lease to bridge me to that sweet spot. And I think it makes financial sense, not only for what we need to do now, but to ensure that that portfolio has maturities coming when we're ready for that EV switch. And that's what I see in my crystal ball is 2 years from now. That's when you'll see that major EV shift.
Well, isn't that a bit risky for them? Because if they're building a lease portfolio up, trying to help you out, so you're able to sell the EVs they're producing 2 years from now, they're going to be taking ICE vehicles to the auction at a could be a nasty hit if we're all switching over to EVs at that point. Who's going to want a combustion engine then?
Fair point, but again, there's always going to want people. Exactly.
Yeah.
There's always markets.
Yes, please. But
always markets that will want this stuff. I mean, and again, if you look at what they made off their lease portfolios in the last 2 years, I mean, again, we've been talking about our people that work for us saving for a rainy day. I really hope that they saved all that margin on their lease returns for a rainy day, and that's the perfect rainy day.
For all the money they didn't spend on incentives.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
We just throw those cars in the ocean. Awesome.
Uh-huh.
Good old Chris Leslie. Yeah. Huh. I hope that incentives come back soon. I think I'm hoping that it's going to be like, okay, so December's here. November was, we're starting to see some cars sitting on the lot. Although we're not going to see the cars sitting on the lot for the kind of time that we used to yet, because they're just showing up now before the manufacturers start to get really serious about those incentives. But I hope that they're being forward thinking in that regard. I don't know. It just takes one of them to start doing it, though.
Absolutely.
Oh,
yeah.
Because they got incentives on Silverados this month. Yeah, and I see the F-150 starting to get them too. So
nice. This is not doom and gloom. I mean, we just
thank you.
I recap, like, we got to get back to our old selling muscles. I mean, the time is now. The fantasy land's over. Like, let's get back to it. Like, there's so much change going on. Yeah, we just gotta exercise those muscles, be ready, because we're gonna need it. That's what we're gonna need for 23. 23 is gonna be all right. Let's get back to how we used to sell cars.
Mm-hmm.
How are you leading that charge with your team?
How am I leading that charge? Wow. Quite frankly, we have we're just trying to grow from within our own portfolio of people, and we've a pretty straightforward career path from the variable side of the business, from sales side. And we've been really successful with it. And, a lot of our associates, they start as valets on the lot, moving cars around, doing pickup and drop off, doing home deliveries. And then from there, they graduate to delivery specialists. And that's where they deliver cars to customers. They pair their phones, they show them the app. And they do that for a while. And then from there, they become assistant sales associates, where they're not fully selling cars from A to Z, but they're learning the process. They're getting certified from the manufacturer, and from there they go on to sales. And we've been successful with that. And I think that's what you need to do, is really just try to groom from within.
I think that's a great idea. Do you have? I take it you probably have that mapped out, almost like a road to success at Prestige Volvo, et cetera.
Absolutely, and it's a lot easier, when you bring in that, like, you get those valets in together and you show them the career path. It's
Mm-hmm.
a lot easier to get them in a room when you're hiring than putting out like an ad for salespeople. I mean, you're not
Yeah.
going to get sales that way, but if you get a bunch of young, hungry, diverse people that, are willing to run around outside, rain, snow, sleet, pick up, drop off, you got to love interacting with people. You're driving them around all day. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's just easy, and I think that's what we have to do is just really focus on grooming from within.
You're reminding me of when Jennifer Suzuki and I came down to visit you, and she had her camera out and was interviewing all of your delivery crew, and the stories that they were telling were fantastic. They were, definitely feel good stories. It wasn't like this crazy, oh, I had this junkie in the back of the car or anything like that. Nothing. Totally, all this like making people's day, and she still talks about it to this day. How different things are at the Prestige Collection Auto Group. So
Thanks. Well, yeah, those people have all gone on, from sales to management roles, and again, they don't always work out. It's a numbers game, but I think that's the best way to start, especially in this job market. I mean, it's very, very challenging. It's wherever I go, any 20 group I sit in, that's what people talk about is how do we get people? Where do we find people?
Yep.
Matt, before we let you go, I have a quick question just around because you're always up on the technologies, whether it's online, offline. Any new online technologies you're messing around with? Maybe it's website, CRM, whatever it may be related to.
Oh man, that's a great question. But I can't say there's a magic bullet. We kind of tape a lot of different technologies together and use them together. But I think if there's one area of the business that I'm still most excited about, it's like equity mining, working with our service customers, you know, spending. And I'm not trying to advertise for anyone, but again, it's like, how do we sell cars without just spray and pray? How do we make sure that everyone in this database that we have knows what's going on, especially with so many people sitting by the sidelines. All these people are sitting by the sidelines just waiting to hear that phone call or that text message that says, hey, it's Matt from Prestige. We finally got a deal. Let's rock.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really important. And, Alex and I spoke earlier, like, it's what these manufacturers are dreaming of with their native apps, because nobody knows who their customer is. And, our databases are so dirty, and we have people that come in for service that never bought from us or bought from a third party. I think just marketing those people is what I'm most excited about, and, just continue to do that.
Love it.
Yep.
Awesome.
You're always on the forefront, Matthew.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure speaking with you, man.
No, it's great. And again, like I think everyone we're all blessed. We have a lot to be grateful for, and moving forward, we'll just all continue to innovate. And stuff's moving so fast. So we'll be back to continue and touch on these points and see where they go from here.
Well, two future points in regards to Refresh Friday. I think this is going to be the first episode where we start to make smaller clips. So be on the lookout for a few highlights from today. And then Matthew, when you've got another idea, we want to have you back on. So
awesome.
Obviously, where to find us, and I'll be in touch.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it,
guys. Have a great weekend. Have a good Thanksgiving next week. We will not have a show next Friday.
Well, we might have a recorded show next Friday. So.
Oh, that's true. We will.
Yes.
Yep. Oh, good, man. All right, gentlemen. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Take care.